There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, it's July.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
Hello and welcome to the Power Chord Hour podcast, episode 72, and your July 2021 rundown. Hope you're doing well out there. As always, I'm your host, Anthony Merchant, here with you with another episode of the pod. And hopefully you've been enjoying the show this month. I know I have been enjoying doing it. And I'm recording this probably, I don't know, maybe like a week before you, maybe a little less than a week before you hear it. But I'm getting ready to go on a trip to Denver, and I've been running around like crazy. I mean, really it's become this way the last 5 years since I've started doing the radio show, and then with the podcast, it's like a whole nother monster. But like anytime I go out of town or travel, and before COVID, traveling, I love to travel. So I mean, I was doing a lot of that. Now that we can again, I definitely want to get back out there, so I'm going to Denver and also looking. I may end up moving there. I'm up between that and Portland right now, and I don't know if you got any opinions on that. If you live in either place, let me know what you think, and also where the cheap places are. All I need is a cheap ass studio apartment somewhere, and I ain't picky. But so I'm gonna go do that. I mean, I'm gonna have fun on the way, but it's kind of like I always do that. It's kind of like a business and pleasure, you know. I'm gonna go to Denver. Maybe I'll find a place. Maybe I'll find a job. But also, I'm gonna drive Route 66 and go hang out with a buddy in Columbus and going out with some friends in Chicago, like Mr. Kyle Steven, who you've heard on this show a lot. And my first show back, Archers Aloaf, which by the time you've heard this, I would have, it was the 24th, so this comes out the 26th, so 2 days ago, I saw my first show since October 30th of 2019, seeing the Menzingers at the State Theater, or no, I'm sorry, not the State Theater, the Varsity Theater in Minneapolis, and my first show back, it will be July 24th, 2021. That is a long time for me to not go to a show. I am someone who, I am always at concerts. I mean, constantly forever. I mean, I was even going to say since I've had a car, but even before that, I was still at shows like tons. And I ever since getting a car, it has not slowed down like the last, decade. And so I'm excited. I'm assuming it was good. It's weird to talk about. It's weird. I'm talking about a show right now that hasn't happened yet, but I'm talking about it in past tense because it's happened by the time you hear this. This is kind of the fucked up thing about podcasts. And but hey, what are you going to do? I wanted to make sure we had some episodes. But I'm sure if you go check out, it's a good time to, because I love plugging shit. It's a good time to say you should probably go check out the Power Chord Hour social media, because I'm sure I posted pictures and video and stuff. Like I'm sure on our Instagram and Facebook and shit. I might have even did like a Facebook Live for a minute. So go check that out. I mean, if you want to find out, and I'm sure I'll talk about it on a future pod. But that makes me very excited to think, and it's very weird though too, because it's been so long that while I'm excited for a show, it got to a point of, I don't know if I'm just cynical and like part of me was like, I'm just never going to go to another fucking show in my life or what. But like eventually somewhere, it's not that I stopped caring, but I was just more accepting of it. You know what I mean? I think accepting is a better way. It's not that I stopped caring. It's that I kind of accepted, okay, shows aren't going on and I don't know when they're coming back. So I was just kind of like okay with that. And now it just kind of feels surreal to be like, oh man, and going to Chicago too. I've been in Chicago since moving back from Minneapolis. I hung out with some buddies there on my 27th birthday, and I haven't been back since. So I mean, to like go back there to go to a show, and it's great to go. I'm gonna go see a bunch of friends on my trip, and that I haven't seen in a long time. So that's very cool. And my first stop, I'm gonna be leaving here, or I have already left. Again, it's that weird ass talking about something that hasn't happened yet, but talking in past tense. But my first stop before going to see Archers Aloaf, the day before that, I'm going to stop in Columbus and see my buddy Dave, who has been on here before. He runs 19 Cent Zine, which is pretty cool. You should go check them out. They're on Facebook and I think Instagram. I don't know if they're on Twitter, but he ran a zine back in the day, and now he kind of does it digitally. But David's a really good dude. I met a few years ago and have seen the Descendants with a few times. And he's kind of my Descendants buddy. But we're gonna go out to. I was gonna say I'm not a big skateboarder. I don't fucking skateboard at all. I mean, I love the music that and culture and stuff that goes along with it, obviously. But I can't skateboard to save my fucking life. But we are gonna go to Skatopia, which I'd never heard of before. But that looks fucking crazy. And again, it's already happened by the time you hear this. But hopefully, I got to burn shit and party, and maybe I didn't sleep. You know, maybe we went there because I know we're going camping, but maybe I just didn't sleep at all. But yeah, that's going to be the fun before that. And also, I'll tell you what, I don't skateboard, but I fucking know about the Mothman and have wanted to go to Point Pleasant, West Virginia for a long time. And Dave got me stoked because a few days ago he texted me and he's like, oh, have you ever heard of the Mothman? I'm like, fuck yeah. And he told me Point Pleasant, like, cause this place is in Ohio. Skatopia is in Ohio, but it's like right on the border. And it's like 20 minutes away, I guess, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where all the Mothman sightings were. So I want to go see the statue and the museum and all that. I love that kind of stuff. So more like kitschy. I don't like not like paranormal. I know some people like go out like ghost hunting and like shit like that, or would go there and think they're gonna see the Mothman. I just want to go see the museum. I don't think I'm gonna really see that motherfucker. I mean, maybe I will, but I doubt it. And yeah, I like that kind of kitschy, fun stuff. Go take some selfies at the statue and everything, and then go have some fun at Skatopia. But yeah, it's gonna be a wild weekend. We're doing that overnight, and then I'm gonna have to drive him back to Columbus on the way to Chicago, and basically get to Chicago and run right to I think it's a Subterranean that Archers of Loaf are playing at, and I'm excited for that. I'm really stoked for that. See, I have quite a few buddies in Chicago, so I'm gonna be there for a couple days, and I'm probably there now. As you're listening to this, I probably am in Chicago because I'm probably staying there at least till like Monday evening. So yeah, hang out with some friends, and then Route 66, taking that down to Oklahoma, which is definitely out of the way to go to Denver, but I love Route 66 and I want to go do that shit because again, I haven't gotten to do it in a really, really long time, so I'm very excited. And yeah, so anyways, getting way back earlier, what I was talking about, I've been recording a bunch of doing guests. And just recording a bunch of podcasts and radio shows. And it is, I mean, ever since I started doing the radio show 5 years ago, when I travel, I try to pre-record them and do that. And it is time consuming, but doing the podcast as well is like a whole nother monster. Because like with the radio show, I can kind of be like, if I know that I have to pre-record them for the future, it's like I can get really heavy on the music. I still talk about stuff, but it's like, I'm not going to be talking about music news and stuff like that because I'm recording it, 3 weeks in advance. But yeah, doing the podcast and stuff too, it's like, man, I get so flustered. Like I'm recording this at home right now. Last night I was recording a bunch of shit at the WRFA studios. I kind of jumped back and forth, but I was there till like 3 a.m. and just like, I had like 6 CDRs and I have like notes and all this shit. And like, I was getting so jumbled as to what I was doing. I'm like, okay, did I get this podcast done? Okay, I got the podcast done for the first week of August, but I didn't get the first week of August radio show done. Like, just juggling it. And I don't think I fucked up too bad. Hopefully I didn't. But yeah, I've been running around crazy with that, and I am happy though. I had quite a few guests come through at the very end. I had 3 guests in like a 16-hour window over the weekend, and you've heard one last week, Richie Ramone, the absolute legend Richie Ramone, which was just so fucking awesome. I mean, definitely go back and check that out if you haven't. A living legend, and just like when I had CJ Ramone on a few years ago, it's like it just. The whole time I'm like, it's like, you're in the Ramones, like you are a Ramone, and it's like you're one of the last living ones. Like me and Richie talked about Animal Boy for its 35th anniversary. Richie's the last living Ramone who played on that record. It's like you think about that stuff and it's just crazy. Because it's like, and hopefully he's around for, a lot longer. Same with CJ and Marky, hopefully the 3 of them stick around for a while. But it's like still, you're just like, these guys won't be around forever. And, it's an absolute honor to talk to them. and also cool when they're doing a lot of stuff. I also like that. I like talking. A lot of times I'll do those like anniversary episodes, and it's cool to get nostalgic, but I also like to try to be like, oh, like what are you doing these days? To kind of highlight what they're still working on. And I always like it because sometimes you get people who aren't working on a lot right now. It might just be at the moment too, but like Richie, like he's fucking ready. Like, as things are starting to kind of die down with COVID, he's ready to tour, do movies. He's ready to fucking, write more music, release more music. Like he's staying busy, which is awesome. It's awesome to see him do so much. And, he was inactive for a while. And to see him come back so strong, and last few years just doing so much, it's awesome. I'm happy to see it. I was happy to talk to him. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. But yeah, that like 16-hour window, I did an interview which you will hear next week with Mr. Mike Hollins of TDR Records. And speaking of Chicago, a Chicago indie record label, one of my favorite record labels in the world. And I talked to him for like an hour and then got off the phone with him. I had like a 5-minute break, drank some water, and got on the phone with Richie. And yeah, and that was really cool. But it was also my screw up because when I had Richie on, I messed up what time it was going to be. So I had Mike on, but I didn't realize I was going to have another interview in an hour, which I mean, it was doable. We did it. It was fine. But, me and Mike could have talked probably for hours. So it's like, I wish I would have kind of thought of the times a little better so we would have had more time to talk. But that episode's still really good. I think I think everyone listening, I think you'll enjoy it. That'll be out next week. Just talking about running, like I like talking to musicians, but like I really, to be honest, I think my favorites are producers and like people who run like record labels because they have kind of stories about everyone. They don't just have a story about their band. It's like when I talked to Gordon Raphael earlier this year. It's like it's like if I just talked to one of the dudes in the Strokes about recording that record, is this it? They just have stories about the Strokes and being in the Strokes. Whereas Gordon has those Strokes stories, but he also has stories from hundreds of other bands, working with like Regina Spektor and stuff like that. Like, so I think those guys are really interesting to talk to. And Mike was really cool because just talking about like the aspects of running a label and like everything from like what it's like, pressing records and cassettes and CDs, like the difference and all that. And, it was just really fun. And it was really, it was kind of eclectic too, the interviews. The third one I'll say, and one you won't hear for like 2 weeks. I feel like it feels so long from now, feels so far from now, but it'll be like the second week of August. But Jamie Wolford of, the Stereo, Animal Chin, Let Go, and also an acclaimed music producer. And, we talked a ton. I talked to him the longest of the three of them. And he was awesome. He will definitely be back on. And there's some really cool, if you're a fan of his music, he dropped some really cool knowledge on this podcast, which I was very excited about. But, it was cool because I liked talking music with him, but also he loves making music and being a producer, and he loves it. Like when I say that, like he genuinely still loves it. He's not jaded. He seems like the way he told me, like he could remember why he started recording music and making music and why he loved it and stuff. You could tell he still had that same enthusiasm, which I absolutely love. He has not lost that glimmer, and I love talking to people like that. And it was absolutely awesome. So it was cool. I got to talk to a record label owner. I got to talk to a legendary punk rock drummer, the drummer of one of, the most influential bands of all time, one of the very first punk rock bands. And I also got to talk to a music producer / musician, and one who really, the Stereo's 300 is one of my favorite Fueled by Ramen releases, in my top 3. And I think it should have, they should have been as big as like Fall Out Boy. They definitely deserved it. They were so amazing. And Jamie can write a song, and he can also produce a record. So it was awesome too, because he was into it. Sometimes you'll talk to people and they're hesitant, because I like to get really in depth with that stuff. Like if I have a producer, musician on, like I want to talk about things that like very specific, like what kind of mic they used to like record their vocals on this song, or what amp did this bass player use. Like I like doing that. And, he indulged me with it. He wasn't sure at first. He's like, do you really want me to get this in depth or like this specific? And I'm like, yes, do it. And it's like, he got into like how he plays all the way down to like how he plays an E chord, the way that he plays it differently. And like, just really interesting stuff. And I love that kind of stuff. If you're into that, that'll be coming out soon and that'll be really exciting. I'm excited to get that out. And so it was a really good weekend. I mean, I stayed so busy because I'm writing questions for 3 interviews. I'm recording the 3 interviews, then I got to edit the 3 interviews, then I got to put them together. And then not only am I putting it on a podcast, I'm also putting it on a radio show. And then, the radio show with the podcast, I can kind of go as long or as short as I want. Like this one right now, like the July rundown, I can just I can just say fuck it and be done whenever. I could make this thing 20 minutes if I wanted to. Whereas with the radio show, it's a 2-hour block. So it's like, if I do an hour interview, now I got, now I have a whole interview hour left to, make some content. And that sounds so fucking cheesy, make some content. I'm a content creator, guys. But like, make a playlist, talk about some stuff. Like I got to think about what I'm going to do for the second hour. And so like by the time I'm done, it's like, goddamn, like it's all weekend, and then on top of that, like promoting the stuff on social media. And then I had the radio show Friday night. So I'm promoting that. And then we do the playlist on Saturday. So Saturday morning, I'm also promoting that while I'm getting questions ready. And so the weekend was like, it was all Power Chord Hour. Not even all weekend. The past like 5 days has been all Power Chord Hour. And I'm not complaining. I mean, I love doing the show, and I want to make sure that we have episodes for you while I'm gone. I don't want to leave you, because I'm not sure how long I'll be gone either. That's a fairly long trip. I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks, so I wanted to make sure I had enough where, like we can at least have episodes for most of the time. Even if there's like a week where there's none, at least it fills most of it. But yeah, that's really rad. I mean, you've heard the Richie one, but coming up, you will definitely hear that the Mike Collins and Jamie Wolford interviews, and they were awesome. I loved them. Another really fun one this month. We kicked off the month of July with the Joey Cobra episode, the top 5 Fat Records releases, and that was rad too. Because again, I do phoners. I'm in Jamestown. We don't really get a lot of bands down here, and it was really nice to have Joey in studio, a local Jamestown musician, and talk about Fat Records, and it was awesome too, because our lists were like, they were different enough, so it's not like it was like, oh, we just had this same exact list, but we both love the same bands, where it's like, oh, we could both geek out. You know what I mean? Like, even though I won't spill the beans on like what was on our list, but like even things that weren't on mine that were on his, I got stoked, and then vice versa. He got excited for the stuff on mine, even if it wasn't on his. So it was such a good time. I loved talking to him, and it was the 3rd time on the show. We definitely got to have him back. And kind of connected to him too. It's funny. I was talking to Dave, the 19 Cent Zine, my buddy from 19 Cent Zine, and he has been on the podcast too. If you ever want to go listen to that, it was like early on. We did it over Instagram Live, but we just did like a music chat. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm bringing equipment with me on my trip, so I'm hoping to record a few interviews while I'm out. I'm talking to a few people, and I think it'll probably happen. And I would love to do. Zach lives in Springfield, Illinois, and Kyle lives outside of Chicago. And I'm really trying to get Zach to meet us up there, because I'm going to be driving by Zach, so I'll probably be hanging with him too. But our the Bad Boys of Illinois, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean our resident pop punk experts, Zach and Kyle, on this here show. I mean, all our top 5. Really, I mean, I felt like I was cheating on them doing this top 5 with Joey Cobra this month. But our normal guys to come in here, and anything pop punk, I always jump to Zach and Kyle. So I'm trying to get that going in person, because me and Zach have hung out in person. I've never hung out in person with Kyle, and I've wanted to for years. I mean, to the point of like, I remember like 5 years ago going to Chicago for the first time, and me and the friends I was hanging out with when I was there, we're all like kind of fucking around with them on Twitter, like get your ass to the city, dude. So I'm excited. Hopefully hang with him and Zach. I mean, I should be hanging with both of them, but I'm really trying to get the 3 of us together. Mostly to hang out with, but it would be fun to do a podcast. But like, I'm not gonna be the asshole who like I just go like, come on guys, let's do a pod. It's like, if it happened, it'd be fun, but I just want the three of us to hang out, so all that love you hear between us can be in the room together, and it might cause an explosion. Honestly, all that love in one room, that holy trinity might really fuck shit up. But you'll know. Just read in the news. You'll hear some shit went down in Illinois the day the three of us got together. But yeah, I have some excited ones. Dave, I'll probably do one with. But getting back to that, I know I'm the king of getting sidetracked. But with Dave, I've been talking to him, and it's funny because I've thought about it for years. It's kind of like the podcast. Like I've been doing the podcast here now for a year and a half. But I've been thinking of doing the podcast since like year 2 of the radio show. You know what I mean? Like since probably 2017, I kind of had that thought. I've had different things. Like when I worked at a top 40 station, they were cool with me doing the radio show. But, it was kind of like, don't talk about it on it. Don't do a lot of like promoting it. You can do it, but, don't. And I get it too. I mean, it's very different from a top 40 radio station from what I do on the Power Chord Hour. But, there was a while where it was kind of like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do the podcast because, they may not be cool with it. But, as time went on, it was more of just laziness of like, oh no, like I should just do this. And, it just took me forever. And I wish I would have done it earlier, but I'm happy we're doing it now. I love doing it. But for a long time, something I've thought about is like doing a show, like booking a show. And really, I had that thought even before doing the radio show. Like booking shows would be really rad, including here in Jamestown, because we just don't get a lot of shows. There's not a lot of. We're in a weird position where we're not very far. We're in very close proximity to like Erie, Pennsylvania, and Buffalo, New York. And Cleveland, Ohio is like 2.5 hours away. Pittsburgh's like 3 hours. Rochester's like 2.5. So, with touring bands, it doesn't make sense to come here. We're too small. When you have those places and we're in driving distance, I totally get why we don't get shows. But I would love to book shows here. And we've had a few people throughout the years book some rad shows. I've seen a couple cool shows here in the city, but like not a whole lot. And I've loved the idea of doing like a Power Chord Hour show. Not that, like just do a show somewhere in town and just, put on by the Power Chord Hour or whatever, and have like 5 or 6 bands that, that we play on the show, kind of friends of the show, and just do a show, do a concert. And Dave brought it up the other day, and I've been thinking about it for years, but, he kind of got it going again in my head. Like, I would love to do that. It would be cool to just do a show, just do a one-off somewhere. I mean, I would have to find a venue around here. The other thought is doing it outside of Jamestown, because, like, my thing is, and I would love, hit me up and let me know if it's something you would go to, but like if you were, like, within, like a 2-hour, obviously if you're fucking in Iowa, I don't think you're making, you're more welcome to come, but I doubt you're driving for that. But, like, if you were in close enough proximity, like, if you would drive to something like that, but like to do a show here and, just probably, there's a couple obvious, like I was saying, bringing up Joey Cobra earlier, like something like that, like definitely try to have him on. There's a couple other Jamestown bands, a couple of our friends in Buffalo and in Cleveland and in Pittsburgh. And see, that's the other thing though. He got my head flowing where really, it's not an issue. It's probably more of an issue of I'm just wondering if people would be interested in it and then finding a venue. But as far as bands go, I thought of tons of great bands who we play on the show who I love, who are all like, I think are close enough where they could come do the show, and also maybe people who are fans of them would come down. But that is kind of the one nice thing about this area is we're not a huge city. But again, I'm so close to all these different cities. Like I said, like I just mentioned, like, yeah, we have Jamestown bands. But we also have, they're not local, but they're close in, Erie and Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Buffalo. So, it's very rad. Like, there's no real plans. It's really just on paper. But, I'd love it. If that sounds like something you would come to, like, let me know. Hit me up. And, you could also let me know artists, too. Like, we would definitely keep it small. It's not like we would be doing, like, a bunch of national touring acts. And I doubt I'll be getting, I wouldn't be getting like huge fucking names. Like we'd be keeping this nice and modest. But if there's bands, and again, realistically, like I can't fly out a band from California, including I've never booked a show before. So like my biggest thing is not making money. It's just not losing, a shit ton of money. But I love putting something like that on. So hit me up. And also, hit me up if you put on shows. Let me know how the fuck you put on a show. Maybe I'll just have to interview someone. That's why I love talking to Mike Hollins on the interview, because it's like I've always been interested in record labels and how you run them. So it's like it was really fun to ask him a lot of those questions that I've just been curious about. For years, it was very easy to think questions to ask him, because it's like, I've been thinking of a lot of this for a really long time. But yeah, I'm gonna keep thinking about it. I'll probably talk to Dave about it more when we're hanging out at Skatopia, and if we meet Mothman, maybe I'll ask him what he thinks about it. But yeah, and I hope I do an episode with Dave while we're together. But I don't know. I'm sure we'll have a good time, but we'll be together for like 16 hours, so it'll be I don't know if we'll have time in there. You'll find out, because it'll come out. If we do, I might start putting pods out. I mean, if I really do enough of them while I'm out there, I might start releasing them while I'm on the road. I might not wait till I get back home. But again, you'll find out about that because you will hear them. But yeah, so I'm excited about all that. I'm excited about my trip, outside of Arches of the Loaf, seeing Route 66. I also want to do some hiking. I'm going to do some, coming back, I'm going to do a detour up through Minneapolis, go visit some old friends, and then go hike up Lake Superior on the North Shore in Minnesota, and then northern Michigan on the way back home. And that's part of the North Country Trail up there, and I'm doing the North Country Trail does a hike 100 miles in a year, and it's very easy too, because the thing goes from North Dakota to New York, and it should be in Vermont, I think, soon. They're kind of working on that. But yeah, you can do it anywhere. You can do it in little intervals. There's a nice chunk of it like 30 minutes from where I live, and like I'll go hike like 5 miles on that like multiple times, and that counts. And you just got to get to 100. Like a certificate and a patch and stuff. But I just get a kick out of that, and I've also done it in so many states, and I'm excited because once I do Michigan, I think I'm only missing like one more state. Well, maybe one or two, because North Dakota I've never hiked it in. But just about all the other states, I've at least done a part of the trail. So it'll be cool to not only do it, but also hopefully get to that 100. I think I'm almost at 50. I've been slacking this year. Last year I did it for just 50 miles for the Pennsylvania portion. Did it, and that one I got like within a couple months. But this one is taking longer. This one's cool though too, because it's not as Pennsylvania. You can do this anywhere where the North Country Trail is. But yeah, you should check that out if you enjoy hiking and have never heard of it. And going back to Dave, actually, I'm stoked because Dave's been hiking and stuff a lot lately, and he was just doing a part in Ohio that is part of the North Country Trail, and I was telling him about it and getting him stoked. I'm like, oh yeah, you got to sign up, like. You do 100 miles, you get this and that. So yeah, that's another one. I don't know. Maybe if we have time, maybe me and him will do some of that. But yeah, I love that. When I'm not, I love doing the show, and when I'm not doing that, I love hiking and traveling. And I'm happy that I can start doing that again and going to shows. It'll be a nice mixture. This trip will be a really rad mixture of like music and shit, but also like getting to go out in the middle of nowhere and hike, which I love doing, because while I do enjoy cities and hanging out with people, I also like to go in the middle of fucking nowhere and see nobody too. Both of those are very nice, and that is what I call a balance, kids. But yeah, we're going to get into, I got some new music here for you from the month, and I'll tell you some new releases of the month. The Pop Ravinas just put out Do the Creep, a brand new single from them. Justin Courtney Pierre with his second EP of the year, the Price of Salt EP, and I'll play something off that here in a minute. Really, really good. Dirty Shrines with Digital Ego, and that band does feature a few members of the band Elway. Andrew WK put out a new single, Everybody Sins. Hawthorne Heights put out a new single featuring Brendan Murphy called Constant Dread. Greg Antista and the Lonely Streets, probably with my favorite release of the month, with Under the Neon Heat. Really, really good record. I'll play something off that in a second. That does feature also their guitar player Frank Agnew, who played in the Adolescents. He played in TSOL and a bunch of others, and everyone else in that band too. They're all like old school like LA punk royalty. So a really good band. I'll play something here in a second. The Wallflowers with Exit Wounds. The Descendants with Ninth and Walnut. The Suburbs got a new one out, Poets Party, and we got a new single from our buddies, which I'll play here for you right now. The Golden Richards with their new single, Come On, Come On, the Makeout song. So, we got a few of those right now play for you. We'll start with the new Golden Richards. So here it is. Come On, Come On, the Makeout song right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. Some new music for you right here on the July 2021 rundown of the Power Chord Hour podcast. That was Justin Courtney Pierre with The Hunter off the Price of Salt EP. Really good. You want to go check that out, as well as his other EP put out earlier this year, An Anthropologist on Mars. Both really, really good stuff. I would say some of those songs, on those, as well as his solo record they put out a few years ago, In the Drink, some of those songs are on par with some of my favorite Motion City soundtrack stuff. So really good. Definitely go check it out. The new EP is excellent. Before that, Greg Antista and the Lonely Streets with One More Mistake off their new record, Under the Neon Heat. Really, really good stuff from some old school punkers. And opening up that block of music was a new one from Golden Richards with Come On, Come On, the Makeout song. That is a brand new single. Go check that out. And a couple new songs for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And lots of new music to go check out from the month. And before we are all done here, I have a few little pieces of music news. I thought this one was pretty cool, considering me and Joey Cobra were talking all about Lagwagon earlier this month on our Top 5 Fat Records episode. And we were talking about Lagwagon. And one of these records here, though, it was not on either of our lists. We both talk about our love of it. But Lagwagon have announced this really killer tour coming up later this year, where they're going to be playing their classic records Double Platinum as well as Blaze, both in full. And the tour is going to be running November and December and is going to be hitting the United States as well as Canada, hitting a bunch of places like Buffalo, San Diego, Toronto, Cleveland, Chicago, Las Vegas, Vancouver, and a bunch more. And if not only them playing two great records isn't enough, you got Red City Radio supporting Lagwagon on all dates. That is going to be a really good time. Most shows, you do want to look, I will say, most cities, they are playing both records, and they do it in 2 nights. There are a few of those where, but I will say it's kind of cool because they're playing in proximity, so you could still go catch them if you wanted to see them. But I know Buffalo gets one album, and then Cleveland gets one album. Where if you're in this area, I in the Jamestown area where I do the show, both of those are within driving distance from here, Cleveland and Buffalo. So it's you could easily make both of those shows. They're not in the same place both nights, but they're both within driving distance. So most of those shows, they're playing 2-nighters, but there are a few where they're only playing one album. But most of them are in the vicinity where even if they're only playing one album in a city, you really could go drive to the other one if you really wanted to go see it. But that's pretty cool, and I like that. I like that as well because those aren't. I don't feel like Double Platinum or Blaze would be the records that they went out and did in full. If they're doing a tour, I like those records, but I don't think they're the ones that I would first think of if they're doing a tour. So I think that's really cool. And Red City Radio 2, a band that are always great live, and I loved their record from last year. So that would be very cool to catch that. I probably will hit that Buffalo and Cleveland date. It's crazy. I was thinking, unless I've missed a date, which, you know what, and maybe I have when I was away, they might have played Buffalo when I didn't live in the area. But as far as I remember, last time they played Buffalo was when I saw them back in 2014, the night before Thanksgiving. They played up at the Town Ballroom not too long after Hang came out, and were really good. And so it's cool to see them coming back, and I'm excited for that. I think that tour is really cool, and both those albums are great. And I really, Double Platinum, we talked about it with Joey, but I think one of the cool things is Ken Stringfellow, who we've had on the show here. Amazing musician from the Posies, from REM, from Big Star, has played in tons of different bands, and he played guitar on that record. And I think it does show, I think for people who go, it kind of sounds different, or it has different chord progressions and stuff, and they kind of did, Ken is an amazing musician, and I think they utilized him. I do think he wrote on that album, and it's he's not as, he didn't go for the riffs. You know what I mean? Like he comes from a different place in songwriting, and I think it shows on that record. I think his playing is very different too, which is something that me and Joey talked about too. It's like I think following that up with Let's Talk About Feelings. His guitar playing, as much as I like it on Double Platinum, I don't know how Ken would have worked on something like Let's Talk About Feelings. Maybe it wouldn't have sounded that way. Maybe if he was on that, it wouldn't. If Chris Rest was took over for him on there, and Chris Rest I think was perfect for what they were going for on Feelings. But it would be interesting to see what Ken sounded like on there. I would love to see them live with Ken too. That would have been really rad, and also to see how he played like the older material. But yeah, it's very cool. Another one talking about that one kind of pertaining to a episode earlier this month. Another one Ramones related, very cool. But thanks to a Italian punk rock festival, Punk Rock Redone, I believe it is pronounced. But the first Ramones record has recently been shot into space, making it, I believe, the very first punk rock record to, and I don't know, I'm sure other records have, but as far as punk rock goes, I believe that's the first punk rock record to go to space, which is very cool. Ramones bassist and former guest of the show, CJ Ramone, announced it a few weeks ago on Instagram to fans that the album would be sent to space on July 17th. So it happened a couple weeks back here at the festival, and the album was sent over 18 miles into space. It went pretty damn far, actually, and was then recovered afterwards. And so it did come back down. It didn't it's not like floating around the sun right now or anything like that. It did, it is back here on Earth. But if you want to view pictures of that, it is pretty cool. It is up on the Punk Rock Reduno's Instagram page, so definitely go check that out. I thought that was really cool. I got a kick out of that. I love that they did that. It's just one of those things where it's like it's just neat. It's like it's neat. I know there's not a huge reason to do it. There's not even a huge payoff, but it's just kind of rad to be like, yep, we sent a Ramones album to space. I really got a kick out of that when I saw it. So that is very cool. I thought I would share that, including after talking to Richie here a few weeks back, which is an amazing honor. And so was talking to CJ. That was another really fucking good one that was really, really fun to do. But one more piece of news here, and a sad one. I'm going to leave you. We're not leaving on a happy note. We're leaving on a sad. I'm going to leave you all a bunch of sad motherfuckers. But if you're a Title Fight fan, I got some sad news. And the mural that was created by artist John Slabby, who also, I believe his last name's Slabby. I never know sometimes. You read things and you don't know. And it's I always feel like a dick if I'm butchering a name. But I believe that's it. But yeah, he did a bunch of work for Title Fight. He did, I believe, all their album artwork. And he down in downtown Wilkes-Barre, he did the mural that is seen on Title Fight's Hyperview, and it is being taken down. It has been up there now for over 6 years, and the album's been out for 6 years. Came out back in 2015, I mean, and instantly recognizable if you see pictures of it. I mean, if you're familiar with Hyperview, the man's last record, you definitely recognize and go, oh shit, yeah, that's definitely it. And yeah, it was really neat. I would love to go see it in person, but it is being taken down. And just like everything else cool, it is being taken down because the city is removing it to make space for advertisements. So yeah, that definitely sucks. I would love to see that in person. I don't know how much longer it's up. I don't know. I mean, honestly, at this point, it may even be gone, but maybe check into it. I think it would be cool. If I was in the area, I would like to see that. When I went up last month, when I went up to drove through Pennsylvania, I don't know. I might have been near Wilkes-Barre. I actually think I might have been, because I don't think it's too far from Scranton. And yeah, had I even thought about it, I definitely would have made a trip over there to see that, because that would have been really cool. It's sad too, because it's another reminder. I was thinking about it too. I was already kind of bummed because I'm like, that sucks. It's really neat that there's this little landmark there that people go to Wilkes-Barre and go look at it, and it's like, like associated like title fight. Like I think it's so cool, and it just sucks that it's being taken down for advertisements. That just it really sucks. But it's also like a reminder. It's like, oh, like title fight's broken up. Like their last record came out 6 years ago. Now like the mural that was up is like being taken down. It's I don't know. It's a bummer. It's a damn bummer. I don't know what else to say about it. It's sad. But if you're in that area or anything, like I said, go check it out. It might still be up. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely check that out before driving too far to go see it. But if it's up still, go see that bad boy, because you ain't going to see it again. So go recreate the Hyperview album art. And that record, just very, very underrated. I know there is definitely like a group of people who do enjoy that record. Like I'm not the only one who likes that album, but it has just never gotten the love that it deserves. And I still think it's great. Is it as good as Shed? Is it as good as Floral Green? I mean, no, but it's not on the same. It's not the same thing, so it's not even really like fair to compare it. They did something very, very different. I think they also went. They always kind of toyed around with some shoegaze. You have things like Head in the Ceiling Fan and shit like that. But with Hyperview, I think they really went all in with it, and I mean, I thought it was good. Again, it's like I love the classic stuff just like everyone else, but Hyperview definitely should get more love than it really does, because that is a great record, and I wish there was a way to preserve the Hyperview mural, because that would rule. But yeah, sadly never got to see it in person, but I wanted to I was sad about it, and I want to make all of you sad about it as well. So that is what we close on for our July 2021 rundown of the Power Chord Hour podcast. Thank you so much for checking it out. Like I mentioned earlier, I have some really cool interviews coming up for you. Got Mike Hollins from TDR Records coming up next week, and that'll be really fun. And then the following week, we got Jamie Wolford for you. So lots of cool stuff coming up. Make sure you stay connected with the show at Power Chord Hour. That is our Instagram handle, our Twitter handle, and Facebook handle. Go give us a follow. You can find the show on Spotify. I put playlists every week from the radio show. You can also find the podcast there. You might be listening to it there right now. And also the radio show, we got new episodes. If you need more Power Chord Hour, new episodes every Friday night, 10 Eastern to midnight on 107.9 WRFA in Jamestown, New York. You can stream the station on the website WRFALP.com, so you can listen every Friday night, no matter where you're at, anywhere in the world. Tune in to the radio show. And yeah, wherever you're listening to this, subscribe to the podcast. If you would rate and review us, that helps a lot, and I would really appreciate it. And hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. I got Power Chord Hour stickers. Would love to send you some. If you just want to talk music, whatever. If you listen to the radio show, I do take song requests. You want to send me some song requests, any of that, hit me up there, powerchordhour@gmail.com. But that is going to be it. We'll be back with a guest for you next week, Mr. Mike Hollins. A long time coming, someone who I should have had on so much earlier than I did. But hey, better late than never. So yeah, but until then, for the Power Chord Hour, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.